There seemed to have been a thaw in India-Pakistan relations ever since a fresh ceasefire was announced earlier this year. However, now things seem to be back on the boil. That's after Pakistan has blamed India for the car bomb blast outside JUD chief Hafiz Saeed's house. Now, what does this do to relations between the two countries? Are things going to spiral out of control again? Is the relationship going to be on the brink of turmoil again? Noinima Basu, who tracks diplomacy for ThePrint, will help us find these answers. Do start sending in your questions for government matters. Noinima, so let's just talk about this latest row. What has triggered it?
So, Ruhi, as you are aware that Pakistan did a press conference and where their national security advisor, Moeed Yusuf, went on record blaming India, and the fact that, as always, that they say that this is the blast that happened outside Hafiz Saeed's house near the outskirts. This is basically outskirts of Lahore. In front of his residence has been, the mastermind lives in India, and this has been done by the RNAW. So, and they've given on record, they've not named the mastermind, they've not named any individual, but that's what they've stated on, through a press conference. But India is yet to make a statement on that. But, more or less, if I speak with my sources in the government, this was expected because after the attack that had happened at the Jammu Air Force Station, the drone attack, all fingers are being pointed at Pakistan right now. Tensions really started building up last week when India came out with a statement, that is the Ministry of External Affairs, that a drone was spotted inside the premises of the Indian High Commission in Islamabad. So things, we can see, fresh trouble sort of brewing between both countries.
So, Noinima, is this more, as you mentioned, of a tit for tat from Pakistan? Is that how it's being seen by the Indian authorities?
So yes, as I said, officially India has not responded to this press conference yet, but yes, this has been going on. India was expecting this to happen when the blast had taken place last month. That, and this is like an endless thing that goes on between India and Pakistan, as you're well aware, Ruhi, of these clandestine attacks. We also blame ISI, they blame RNAW, but the point is, you need to prove and you need to give evidence. So if you are thinking, if Pakistan thinks that the mastermind lives in India and is an individual who belongs to RNAW, they should be coming up with a name. Let's see how India reacts. But yes, this has the potential to also disrupt the kind of ceasefire understanding that we've been seeing has happened between both sides since February. And a tit for tat also, I would say, because after the FATF, the Financial Action Task Force, came up with the fact that Pakistan needs to do a lot more to come out from the FATF grey list, I think that has also upset them a lot.
Right. Noinima, now, as you rightly mentioned, the last few months have seen the relationship getting slightly back on track. Things have looked up. It's also made sense for India because the LAC has been hot. So it's important that the LOC was, relatively under control. But now with this fresh development, how is India viewing it in terms of going forward, in terms of the relationship with Pakistan, and in terms of the ceasefire agreement?
Well, Ruhi, the fact that, let's rewind a bit, and we know that from last November, October, or maybe November, December, you can say, there's been a lot of back channel talks going on between India and Pakistan, right? We've also heard from some of our sources, media reports are also there, that UAE was trying to play the role of a mediator between the two so that these two can, reduce tensions and start a dialogue. Well, an official dialogue, of course, has not started and tensions do remain high. But back channel talks have been going on, as ThePrint has also reported it several times. And there's this silence that is really needed right now at the line of control. That is because, as you rightly said, LAC is very much active with China for sure, which is why LOC needs to be a little silent. And also the fact that the dynamics that is being played out in Afghanistan is something that we need to also understand, that this is going to change the kind of geopolitical landscape we see within the larger South Asian region. Now, remember, once US and NATO troops, they completely exit Afghanistan. And we are already seeing reports how Taliban is slowly taking control of some of the key districts and cities in Afghanistan. Things are not really going to be as easy as we probably thought it was. So, the dynamics are going to change, which is why India is also playing it a little safe rather than, coming out and making these bold statements in public, which I think
Right.
Pakistan is doing as a tactic to, divert the attention to somewhere else.
Right. Okay. This question is from Sivaram on YouTube. Both governments are in trouble. So, how do they save their positions using issues as a political tool? So, I think what the viewer means is that these are also tactics to distract from your government's own failures. These are tropes that we know both sides have used constantly. That play the Pakistan card as far as India is concerned, or play the India card as far as Pakistan is concerned, and distract from perhaps internal domestic issues.
Well, yes, you are right. I mean, today only there's a report that PTI has come up with that, Pakistan has now opened a special cell for FATF under the National Accountability Board, so that NAB is going to look at the FATF. See, the fact that Pakistan economy is in dire straits, right? And also because of the FATF listing, this time they expected to come out of the grey list. I mean, yes, they were not blacklisted, but there were high hopes that they'll be out of the list. Now, they are not only in the grey list, there's an extra action plan on them, which has extra 5 more actionable plans on which they have to work over and above one of the parameters that they need to work on FATF out of the 27 that were given to them. So that's one. Then, in Afghanistan, also we are hearing these voices from the Afghan government, Afghan citizens, that with this, the fact that Taliban is gaining strength to strength there has also a lot to do with the role that Pakistan is playing there. We've heard what Pakistan's foreign minister had stated in one of the interviews, that he is not aware as to what Afghanistan wants from Pakistan. We know that Pakistan is playing the role of a facilitator with the Taliban leaders. So, as I said, the things are very sensitive at this point of time. So, yes, which is why they are trying to do all these things by, just diverting your attention. Now, the point is that having said all of this, I think that the Indian government should now also come out with an equally strong statement and probably reject this, before this sort of swells up and becomes a bigger issue.
All right. Okay. This is from Lakshman Singh Rathore. How has the External Affairs Ministry responded to this? So, as you mentioned, there has been no official reaction yet.
Not on this particular press conference. I'm sure they will be coming out with a statement. Last week, the Minister of External Affairs had asked Pakistan to investigate the matter as to why a drone was spotted inside Indian High Commission in Islamabad. So we are seeing that this, this kind of tit for tat is building up. And this was expected, as I said, as what I get to hear from officials, is because the FATF move this time has really upset Pakistan at a time when it is, trying to see how it can gain more stronghold with the exit of international troops from Afghanistan.
Right. Okay. This is from Nikhil Deo. Are other countries responsible for the fragile relationship between India and Pakistan? If India-Pakistan relations improve, wouldn't it affect economy of GCC nation?
Well, not really. The economy of GCC nations, they work all together in different dynamics, right? So they are this monarchical economies that they have, and they have their own kind of sovereign funds operating across several sectors. But yes, of course, this has always been an endeavor of the Muslim world to support each other. We've seen the statements that come out from the OIC, the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, and all. So yes, I mean, which is why, and nobody really wants attention in this region, because we are already seeing heightened tensions between India and China. This both powers, they're engaged in a bit of a border standoff for over a year now. So yeah, I mean, that is why. And also the GCC countries are now looking at gaining more, their foothold, their footprints in the South Asian region once Americans and other leave South Asia.
All right. This is from Abhishek Dubey. Pakistan's army and the elected government not on the same page as the LOC ceasefire has been observed for long enough now?
Well, they are on the same page, and we have also reported. I mean, I've reported with my colleagues Nehish, Alex, Philip, is that the back channel talks are on. We've also reported how there is now a potential threat, as we had stated in that report, that maybe some people, and by that we mean that the deep state in Pakistan is not really probably happy with the back channel talks going smoothly, and the fact that some kind of dialogue is on, and the ceasefire pact is sort of being adhered to a very large extent. So I guess, yes, that is the reason we cannot rule out the role that is being played by the deep state here. And that is something that India is also aware of, and that is how you get to hear when you speak with officials. However, the point here is right now, again, as I stated, that the issue that they want to divert from Afghanistan more towards Kashmir, and the fact that the political process in Kashmir seems as if that the Modi government is now thinking of some kind of process to be in place. So that normalization, whatever the government has planned, that's different. But the fact that he met the leaders from Jammu and Kashmir, all these things really are under potential threat.
All right. Okay, this is a question from Harsh. How come the Indian government has not yet reacted sharply to the drone attack and fresh allegations by Pakistan?
Well, if you talk about the attack that had taken place at the Jammu Air Force base, that is being investigated by the NIA. So, and the NIA is still investigating it. It's not that easy to come up with a statement like that. So the government this time is taking very measured steps, and it has always done so without really jumping the gun and blaming Pakistan. However, we know that, and at the cost of repeating it again, the Minister of External Affairs has expressed concerns that how come a drone was spotted within the Indian High Commission premises. Now, in this matter, let's also remember that both these countries, we do not have high commissioners yet posted, which makes things really very sensitive, because you really do not have a senior point person to negotiate between the governments of both these countries, right? So from 2019 August, since Article 370 was abrogated, Indian High Commissioner at that time, Mr. Ajay Bisaria, he had to leave Pakistan, and Pakistan had never reinstated, because Imran Khan wanted, their prime minister wanted downgrading of diplomatic ties. So that remains like that, which makes it all the more difficult for a normal dialogue or reactionary statements to come out just like that.
Okay, Hitesh Nautiyal, on what basis is the Pakistan government blaming RNAW? Do you think this is done keeping in mind India's interaction with Taliban?
Well, yes, that is what the Indian government is really talking about behind closed doors, that, these are some of the noises that Pakistan is trying to make because it wants to divert the attention from the fact that Afghanistan is now blaming Pakistan for all the Taliban offensive that is going on in Afghanistan. Now, let's also understand, in this press conference that happened where Pakistan NSA Moeed Yusuf blamed India, they had also indicated towards a certain Afghan national who was also involved in this bomb blast that had taken place near the outskirts of Lahore. So, at one press conference, they've blamed India, they've blamed Afghanistan. So they would now really need to come out with proper, solid evidence to back up with what was stated.
Right. Okay, this is from Vigyani. What are the worst case scenarios if these kind of things go out of hand?
Well, worst case scenario, I would not utter that, but we've already seen that both countries have stopped talking to each other. What can be worse than that when you don't have a dialogue with your neighbor? Now, it is debatable whether or not this kind of a stance is good or bad for diplomacy, but the Modi government has taken a stance that terror and talks cannot go together, and they have been, firm on this. However, we also know that back channel talks are going on. So I hope that it would not go worse than, I mean, yes, at a possible risk could be that the LOC becomes live again, but then that there are innocent lives that we are talking about. And of course, at a time when we are engaged in a very bitter standoff with China, I would not really predict anything worse than that.
All right, I'll take this one last question quickly. This is from Udit Tripathi. Can the policy of strategic depth proposed earlier by General Mirza Aslam Beg with respect to Pakistan-Afghan relations be applied to India-Afghan relations as well?
Well, I don't really think so, because the dynamics are completely different. How Pakistan-Afghanistan bilateral relationship is and how India-Afghanistan bilateral relationship is. The Afghan government sees India as this major development partner, and India is the largest aid giver in South Asia to Afghanistan. We are also having some kind of indirect channel of discussion with Taliban, because if they are going to be mainstream, you need to negotiate with them as well. So things are going to be really very different. Now, let's also not forget that Hafiz Saeed has $10 million bounty on his head, and he is banned by the US Department of Justice. So that pressure is also there on Pakistan to act on it. So, that is how the dynamics really work. And no two relationship in this region, at least in South Asia, are the same, frankly. I mean, even if you talk about India, Bangladesh, it's so different from Pakistan, Bangladesh, for all you know, if you're aware of history. And of course, like Bangladesh, Sri Lanka will have a different relationship than India, Sri Lanka. So which is why we've seen SARC, a process like SARC never really, took off in full-fledged manner, but that's how it is in this region.
Right. All right. So Pakistan blaming India for the Lahore car bomb blast, and India for now treading cautiously. And Noinima explaining to us the dynamics of the situation and whether this can actually potentially snowball into a bigger turmoil between India and Pakistan. Thank you so much, Noinima, for joining us. A big thank you to our viewers for watching Government Matters, for sending in their questions. Keep subscribing to our YouTube channel. You must like our Facebook page and also follow us on Twitter.